Hello and welcome to Trackops. I am your host today. I am Chuck Cox, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to assign various investigators to events on cases via the case map. So I'm already inside a case that I've built, and this is a recently created case, and I've captured a few identifying pieces of information already on this case, one of which are my case services. So I'm requiring a background check and a video surveillance on this case. I've also identified the case region. For this case, it's going to be Colorado. I've also assigned my case manager, but I have not assigned my investigator or my salesperson. I have a couple different subjects, one of which is Peter Baelish, and he's my primary subject. If I click his name, it'll bring into his profile, so I've added his address, as well as his date of birth, his alias, things of that nature. If I come back out to my case, I can see I've got another subject here, which is Baelish's office. If I click into that as well, I notice I also have an address for his office. So from here, if I go back out to my case overview, I can click this nifty map button, which brings me to my case map. And right off the bat, I can see a few items that have populated. I've got 2 investigators here noted in blue. They're actually colored blue because they're not currently assigned to this case. I've also got my 2 subjects noted here in red, both of which are shown on the map by the address that I've input into their individual subject profiles. And I can scroll out a bit and other items start to populate. And so I've got 2 other investigators here also noted in blue. And I can drag the map around just in case I want to get a better view on it. And if I click one of my subjects, and this is Peter Baelish and his home residence, I notice that each investigator shows up underneath with their respective distance to the subject. It also shows the time at which it would take currently for that investigator to reach their destination by driving. And so we also notice that on the left side over here, each of my investigators is represented with a recommendation rating. So if I click Tyrion's name here, it'll bring up his profile here on the map. And we can see that for the week of 8/14, he's got a recommendation rating of 576 points. And that point total is made up of a certain set of criteria, some of which include the scheduled hours for the week of 8/14, which is my selected week. Also his preferred services. So when we were going through the case details before, we noted that a background check and video surveillance are both selected services on this case. Well, Tyrion is actually preferred to work both of those services on his staff profile. He's also preferred to work the Colorado case region, which is the case region that we selected for this case. And then it shows his expensed hours for this week and then his scheduled all days. And then below again it shows his distance to both subjects on this case. And so if I'm looking to create an event now for this case, and let's say that I want to video surveil the subject at his office location, I can tell that he's pretty close, he's less than 10 minutes away, and he's got all of these criteria selected that makes him a good candidate to work this case, especially since he's the best candidate amongst my other available investigators. And so I can actually come in here and create an event for this investigator on the fly from my case map. So I'll click Create Event, and you'll notice that the system actually first prompts you to assign him to the case. So this is sort of a twofold method. So I can assign him to the case and then assign him to the event all in the same action. So I'll click OK on that, and then it'll prompt me to assign him to the case. I'll assign him as an investigator, make him my primary. I can send him a notification. We won't for the purposes of this demo. And then I click Assign to Case. So now he's assigned to the case, and now I can create an event and assign him to that as well. Once I name the title of the event, then I can select which subject this event pertains, Peter Baelish. I can then select the service, which is video surveillance. If I keep scrolling, I can select the calendar. I have a dedicated surveillance calendar, so we'll add it to that. We'll get a time, so we're going to say on the 14th in the afternoon. And then I can select the case address that already exists in the system. In this case, it's going to be Peter Baelish's office, and that'll populate for us. Keep scrolling. I've already got Tyrion assigned. And then I can alert him. So let's say that I want to alert him the day before, but I could do 30 minutes before, 8 hours before, a week before. So we'll select that. We can add some notes if we need to, and then we'll click Save Event. And now, once I save the event, it'll prompt me to Tyrion's agenda for that week. He already had one event scheduled, which we saw in his recommendation rating. And then here's the event that I just created for him from the case map. If we close this and go back out to our case map, we notice a couple new things. One, Tyrion's icon is now green, and that's because he's now assigned to the case. The other staff members remain blue because they are currently still unassigned to the case. We also see that we've got our event that we just created in gold. We can also come over here and select a different schedule date, and you'll notice that the recommendation ratings for each of my investigators will change depending on which date I select. So if I come here and let's say we've got an event coming up next week, if I select this Monday, you'll notice that the recommendation ratings change. And if I come back in here again and select the following week, we can see how they change again. So in summary, the case map feature within Trackops not only gives you the ability to view the addresses of your staff and the addresses of your subjects on each case, but it also gives you the ability to determine the proximity of your investigators to those subject addresses to help you create an event for the best fit investigator to work the event on that case. If you have any other questions about the case map or scheduling investigators to events on a case, you can always send us a quick email at support@trackops.com and we'll get to your question as quickly as we can. Thanks again for using Trackops.